Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back here at Dream Giveaway Garage, and boy oh boy, do I have one dream muscle car for you. It's this car right here. This is a 1970 Dodge Challenger RT 440 six-pack. But before we get into this three-deuce setup, that's a 3.2-barrel carburetor 440 cubic inch V8 muscle car, let's talk about what's going on here. 1970 was really prime time. That was where it was at the peak of the muscle car era. What essentially started back in the mid-1960s was reaching that culmination of high horsepower and big cubic inch engines. Now, when you look at this Challenger, this being a two-door, believe it or not, back in 1970, this was called a mid-size car. Even though it's super large, there were other cars, especially from Dodge, that were even larger. Now, what's fascinating about this one, this is only one of 1,640 that were produced, and of course, in that impact color. In 1970, Dodge came out with their series of impact colors, and I truly believe this is probably the most iconic, that Plum Crazy purple color. On top of this was also once owned by Jim Holden, who was the CEO of Chrysler. Because remember, it was Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge. But what I want to find out is, if you're looking for a classic muscle car, do you go Camaro? Do you go Mustang? Or do you go with the Challenger? Because that is why the Challenger came to an existence, is to compete against those pony cars. So let's go ahead, let's dive in and find out. Right off the bat, if you watch Rady's Rides and you've seen a lot of the newer Challenger reviews, you could see that classic silhouette, why the new Challengers, the more modern ones, look the way they do. It's because of this vehicle. Now up front, you have that classic open grille area. I love the way you have the quad headlights. You have your turn signals mounted down low. And what I like about the Challengers, if you notice, look at how close the front bumper is mounted to the body. That was something that they were able to do still in 1970 because the Department of Transportation did not come up with those regulated 5-mile-per-hour bumpers yet. That was yet to come down the pipeline. Before then, we just had nice flush chrome bumpers. Now, of course, you're gonna have your hood pins to hold down this bulge of a hood. And then as we drop down, we have that silver egg crate grille design, Challenger script RT. Remember, road and track brings you more performance. You have that larger opening to try to bring as much cool air, because the hot air is going to rob us of horsepower, especially in a big cubic inch V8 like this one has. But you could just see that familiar look with the quad lights, 2 on each side, but also that wide open grille design. Now, as we rise up, you got the bulge. So you got the bulge like you want it. Put away the socks. This is the real deal thing. You do have, this side is blocked off. This side is blocked off. So that is a zonk. It looks good, but they're non-functional vents. What in the hell are we doing here? Those should be totally functional, and they are not. So that is sad news. But like I said, you do have the hood pins, and I love that 440 six-pack badging on the side of the hood bulge. Now, as we come around the bend, don't expect to see 18-inch wheels, 19-inch wheels, 20-inch wheels. What we're working with are these Magnum 500 wheels. You have that nice aluminum finish, the center cap, the trim ring. What you are looking at is a 14-inch wheel. So back then, it wasn't about big diameter. It wasn't even about big width. But this, what's nice about this is that this is that classic polyglass Goodyear tire that they used to come standard with. You have a little bit of chrome trim around the fender opening. And then you'll notice that we have discs up front. This car has power steering and power brakes. Now coming down the side, you got the Challenger name once again, RT. There is an antenna. I took it off because I just didn't like the look of it. So it's sitting in the back seat of the car, but there is an antenna there. Like I said, that classic silhouette of the Challenger. Of course, you got your manual windows, and even the way they sculpted the side of the door mimics the way a modern Challenger looks. Back then in 1970, you got flush door handles. So to open up the door, you pull up here, but you have those flush door handles coming towards the rear. 410 gears out back. So this thing is gonna get up and scoot. Of course, like I said, 14-inch wheels, all four corners, and we have posi traction. So that means when you romp on the throttle and you go on throttle, power is being sent to both rear wheels. Rear brakes are drums. So we have disc brakes up front, drum brakes out back. Love the way you got your fuel filler cap, just like on the newer ones. But what's cool about this, look how it releases. And then there's your actual cap that you unscrew. So nice to have all those touches. And that's why, like I say, you know, today you might see a modern day Challenger and you're like looking at all the touches and you're like, wow, this car looks badass. The reason why it looks badass is because this car looks badass. Now, as we come around the back, I like the way on the trunk lid, they put Challenger RT, no kind of spoiler or anything like that. You got that same style taillights. And this really mimics the Challenger that came out in 2008. Because remember, when they refreshed it, they changed it up a little bit, especially with the reverse lights being up top with the Dodge badge. And then you have that quad tip exhaust. Looks so freaking good. I wish the newer ones would come with a quad tip exhaust. But why don't we go ahead, let's pull the hood pins and pop the hood in this Challenger RT. All right, guys, we got that hood popped up. Now, one thing I want to point out, what's really cool about this restoration, it has all of the build markings. You see how it says OK Paint? That's something that they would do on the factory. They would actually stamp that. You see that W? That actually means something. Look on the valve covers. There's these little numbers. Don't think that somebody just scrabbled on this engine compartment. They made it look like it rolled right off of the factory assembly line. Another thing you'll notice on Mopar products, they paint all the inside fenders. So not all the brands would do that. And then of course, also with Mopar engines, you get the bright orange color. Now, underneath that massive, massive, massive air cleaner are 3 2-barrel carburetors. So what are we looking at? We're looking at 440 cubic inches. That equals 7.2 liters of V8 goodness, 390 horsepower, and then you're looking at 391 pound-feet of torque. It's mated to a 4-speed manual transmission. If you know how to do the dance with the pistol grip shifter, 0 to 60 in about 5.7 seconds, quarter mile, 13.8 at 103 miles per hour. It's got, like I said, the 410 gears. It's got the super track pack, and you got a dual breaker distributor, plus the 26-inch high performance radiator. And then, like I said, options that are important are power steering and power brakes. One thing you will notice that this vehicle does not have is air conditioning. So on this big block, 7.2 liter V8, no air conditioning. But why don't we go ahead, let's hear what a real muscle car sounds like. Let's fire up this 440 and let it roar. All right, guys, we're inside this 1970 Dodge Challenger RT, and I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I wish I could get one of these. Such a classic muscle car. The crazy thing is that with this giveaway, you get 2 cars. Remember that super stock, that Plum Crazy super stock? You get both cars if you win. And remember, they don't pay me to say this. I don't get any money from them. They just want to help a Rady's Ride subscriber win this twofer of a Mopar V8 goodness. If you use the Radius Rise promo code, you get 3 times the amount of giveaways if you spend $25 or more. But let's see, you know, you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, how much was this back in the day? MSRP for the way that this one was optioned back in 1970 was $4,316. Absolutely insane. Worth a lot more today. But why don't we go ahead, if you're ready, I'm ready, to the door panels. Obviously, very old school finish. One thing I want to point out is right in the center of that faux wood, that is the Herzog badge, which is on the new 2024 Charger EV, and of course, the Charger 6-pack. So that's where it originated. No pockets, no cup holders, and you see that thing, that's silver and black there? That's where you get to crank the window up and down, and you have that chrome door handle. But if you notice, where everything is located is exactly similar to how the new modern Challengers are. So kind of cool there. You come on in, you got the Challenger name, a little bit of stitching going on. You got your glove box. This is cool. This is actually a light that is for when you go into reverse, to let you know you're in reverse. You have your vents to bring some cool air in, but there's no AC on this particular car. Ashtray with your cigarette lighter. Different day, different time. And then you'll notice you don't have any kind of like center console. This one does not have a center console. You have your push button radio, no 8-track, nothing like that. No center console, just the carpet. I like that rawness. And this is where the magic happens. This is the pistol grip. And as you can see, it actually looks like a handle from a gun with the gear pattern up top. It's a 4-speed. Throws are kind of long, but you know what? The engagement is very, very crisp. And then, of course, the seats, the vinyl. I like the way they have a one-piece high back where the headrest is all blended in together. And then on top of that, you have your manual controls. And then you have, of course, let's see if I can get to it. I can't get to it. We're going to try this. Where is it? You have your rear seats, which hopefully Steven can show off back there. And see, I told you, here's the antenna. If you want to see the antenna, there it is. Not my favorite thing, but you know what? It is what it is. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I have a 3-spoke steering wheel I want to show you and a bunch of gauges in this Challenger RT. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. If you notice, we only have one bullet-style chrome side mirror. There isn't one on the passenger side with your manual adjustments. That's how you adjust it. You do have an aluminum sill plate here. And then you'll notice the pedal box. We got the 3 pedals. Lots of room in there. Your good old-fashioned mechanical e-brake. And do you see that metal button right there? Do you know what that is? That's to turn on your high beams. So you click it, and that's how you turn on your high beams back in the day. Kind of cool. You do have your manual seat controls, of course. Not much function there. Not much support. But they allow you to sit on something kind of soft. And then the teak wood steering wheel. Like that classic 3-spoke design with the teak wood. And then look at our gauges. We got our analog speedometer, tachometer. Then you have a little plethora of your coolant gauge, your oil temp gauge, and of course your voltage. And then we have an actual clock that is functioning, which is nice. And on top of that, this wheel is tilting and telescoping, which was an option back then. But why don't we go ahead? If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's fire up this beast and go for a little spin in this 70 Challenger RT. All right, guys, we're inside this 1970 Dodge Challenger RT with that 440 underneath the hood, pistol grip shift in hand. And if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's see how this muscle car is gonna go. On throttle. Yeah! I tell you, it's such a raw experience driving this thing, knowing that you have all that power underneath the hood and you have these skinny tires. It's crazy to think back in the original muscle car day how they used to drag race these and street race these with these little narrow tires and all that torque. Now what's awesome is this, being a pristine specimen, drives phenomenal. Everything inside just takes you back to a simpler time no infotainment systems, no phone apps and all that other crap. I got that big bulge of a hood, and just really an experience that it can't be replicated in many vehicles, especially modern vehicles. It's interesting, the shift lever, you do have long throws. She likes to be driven hard. The harder you drive her, the easier it is to drive. So I find that very interesting. But second gear, let's go on throttle again. On throttle. Freaking fantastic to be able to have you riding shotgun with me in an American classic. I mean, this is what started in 1970, the first year of the Dodge Challenger. And I know we think of cars today and all the power that they bring in performance, but when it comes to a very visceral experience, this really checks off those boxes. It's nice to have the power brakes. I could do without the power steering. The power steering, what you find on these old steering boxes is that there's just a lot of play in the steering wheel. Manual steering, it is a little harder to turn, to steer, but I feel like it's a little bit more correct of a feeling, where this, it's a little bit more vague. But it's crazy how this thing is geared, because even in fourth gear, you're turning some pretty high RPMs, and what that does is it allows you to just romp on it, and it kicks you right back into the seat. But the sound of that big 440, the 3 deuces, 3 2-barrel carburetors, dumping all that fuel in with air and making the kaboom. Just really amazing experience. On throttle, woo! Yeah! It's one of those cars that with the right passenger, you'll have them crap themselves lickety-split, so make sure you tell them to wear some Depends, because it gets interesting if you're not familiar with it. God, the sound of that V8. No replacement for displacement. But like I said, even in fourth gear, this thing puts you back in the seat. I mean, I'm doing 55 miles an hour and I'm turning 3,500 RPM. It's like I'm in the sweet spot of what it takes to drive this vehicle and to drive it well. Really, really fantastic experience when it comes to what we're doing with this vehicle. And that's the thing to remember, is that with the taller gears in this thing, it's gonna turn higher RPM when you're driving down the road. But the awesome thing is, you're in fourth gear and you go on throttle, like this, on throttle, it just really puts you back in the seat nicely, which is cool. But it's one of those vehicles, you could go to car shows, you could take it for a night cruise, you could cruise the beach. When you have the car tuned correctly, it's gonna allow you to really be able to enjoy it super duper well. And that's what's important. But we're gonna go ahead and get back the dream giveaway and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, been another crazy day in so many ways with this bad mamma jamma muscle car. Definitely want to thank the whole Dream Giveaway Garage crew, because guess what? It wouldn't be possible without them throwing me the keys. But let me know what you think. Are you gonna go Dodge Challenger for your muscle car? Are you gonna go Mustang, or are you gonna go Camaro? Maybe even go Firebird or Trans Am. Let me know down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Rise family. We need to give it up To Big Guns McGee behind that camera. He keeps working out. I don't even know if he's going to be able to fit in those shirts anymore. But thanks, Steven, in the comment section for his hard work, blood, sweat, and even some tears. Thank you, Steven, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.